Hello everybody, I am Claudia Morales with the Music Division, and today I'm super excited to welcome back singer, songwriter, bandleader, and producer, José James. José James blends jazz, soul, R&B, and hip-hop, and he's gained the title of the jazz singer of the hip-hop generation. His albums in Blue Note and his own label, Rainbow Blonde, have gained recognition, including awards like the Edison Award and the Academy du Jazz Grand Prix. He has collaborated with many legends, including McCoy Tyner, Robert Glasper, and many others. He has performed around the world in many festivals, and today we are delighted to have him here at the Coolidge Auditorium. He was here 13 years ago, and he's here tonight to present his latest album, 1978. So let's talk about it. José James, welcome to the Library of Congress. Welcome back, let's put it that way.
Thank you so much. It's an honor.
It's a privilege to have you here. So before we had this conversation, we had a chance to walk around the building and to see some of the music collection items that we prepared for you. From what you saw, what caught your eye and why? That's a hard question,
it's
I
hard.
know.
I mean,
Pick one.
It's beautiful to be in a place that is holding some of our greatest ideas of creativity, of what the world can be. You know, I think artists as a whole, we look at society from a certain vantage point and we question, we kind of say, well, what about this part? What about this? And then we talk about what we find. And we say, we'll let you guys feel it, you know, I'm on to the next thing, you know. So it's this beautiful exploration of all these minds for centuries, you know, and that's what I felt immediately surrounded by. And it's in everything. It's in the architecture, it's in the color palette, it's in the paintings, it's in, you know, the font selection of every single item. Obviously the libraries are key, you know, and seeing, you know, Ralph Waldo Emerson's personal collection, that's very moving because writing, unlike music, is a very solitary art form. So to be able to step inside his library was almost like living in his brain, because I know that he's read all of those books, looked at the titles, said, oh, I need some inspiration, or I had an idea, you know, pulled it off the shelf and flipped through, and then synthesized all of that into these incredible, his own work, you know. So it's that continuity, it's that that private space of an artist that's so special, so rare, and so intriguing to me, because I've always wanted to know how and why, you know, not just what, you know, because everybody can find the what, you know, the John Coltrane record or, you know, by the year, but it's like, but why? Why did he decide I want to make Love Supreme? Why did Billie Holiday decide I'm going to record Strange Fruit? You know, why did Ralph Ellison say I need to write Invisible Man? You know, that's to me the interesting thing that keeps pulling me back year after year, record after record, you know, to figure out why within myself too.
Have you found your why?
I think so, you know, and the answer is simpler than I thought. One day, I was 14 years old, and I was in Northeast Minneapolis, where I grew up, and I had been trying to figure out jazz for years, you know, because my father is a Panamanian jazz and Latin musician, so I was always trying to figure out sort of my dad's music, and it didn't make sense to me. And then one day, I was playing basketball, and it was the summer before high school started, you know, and I turned on the jazz radio station, and Duke Ellington Orchestra playing Take the A Train came on, and the sun came through my window, and it was like, oh, like, I get it. I totally get it now. The joy of the day and the sunlight in my room with that music, it was like, wow. And I think I've just been chasing that feeling, which is so simple. But I think over the years I made it complicated. Like, it couldn't be that easy. But yeah, it's that easy. Like, Right now, you know, we were talking earlier, my house was in Altadena, so we lost everything in the Eden fire. And it's like, can I still find that spark of creativity? Can I even look at what's happening to me and to my community with that sort of objective, artistic, like, this is kind of just interesting, you know, and I can still access that even through the pain and all the complex feelings. It's still like, this is life. This is a human moment. And that's, I think, what got me into jazz and literature and all these things. In photography, it just documents that one moment, you know, and makes us focus on it. You know, I think that's the key.
I know that this happened recently, in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Even then, right? About 2 months. This might be too soon. Have you been able to channel that through your music writing yet, or are you not there yet?
I'm not there yet. You know, my partner Talia, who's singing with me tonight, she's been able to. She's working on a new solo project, and the musicians are LA musicians too, so they were all in it. You know, we all ran literally from the fire. She somehow was able to get inside that, and it's so powerful. For me, it's too soon. I think it's because, well, I don't know why. I think it's too enormous. I think there will be something later, but at this point, I've learned to sort of not rush anything. It's like I let things come when they come.
Because this happened while you are in tour, while you have commitments, and life continues,
Right.
moves on,
Exactly.
but you have to deal with this reality at the same time. How do you do that?
That's a great question. I mean, I think a lot of it comes from sort of being a bit of an outsider. Sort of navigating through society as an artist, as a person of color, as a, you know, multicultural. My mom's Irish, you know, like white Irish American. My dad is Afro-Panamanian. So sort of navigating through the world, you know, based on the way I look and the way I speak. And I think I've been able to use that in this moment to sort of say, okay, like, you know, today I'm in a hazmat suit, you know, and I'm directing teams to ethically take away my life, you know, which is painful. But I'm also old enough to know that this is part of the creative process. It's kind of what you sign up for. You know, there's stories of all these great people, you know, like Kenzo, for example. You know, in Japan, everything burned down. His whole house was destroyed. I think the government destroyed his house. And he got a check and he went to Paris. And he said, great, this is an opportunity, you know, where he could go to Paris and become the designer he wanted to. So I think that's what the blues is. That's what, you know, African-American music has always been, turning like a difficult moment, difficult time into something powerful, into something profound, which doesn't mean it doesn't suck.
Of course,
you know,
of course.
But yeah, I think knowing, you know, that places like this exist, and you know that there's always another chance to speak and to be heard and to be seen and to collaborate with incredible artists and musicians like Will tonight. That to me sustains me. So it's like that's the thing that can never be taken away.
And tonight, you're here to present your latest work, 1978. There's a reason why you named that album that.
Yes.
What is that?
Well, I've been sort of fascinated by that era. I was also born in 1978, so I got to represent my year. I think it's sort of a fascinating meeting point of all of these different styles. You know, politically, it was a fascinating moment. You know, we were still extricating ourselves out of Vietnam, and then the women's vote and the women's movement was really at the forefront. You know, so that was happening here in the U.S. And artists were starting to get into that. You know, People like Marvin Gaye were kicking down the door and saying, now we can talk about this in our music, in R&B, which was like, wow, you know, and then Stevie Wonder sort of took that ball and ran with it. And then you had disco sort of getting to this like peak of popularity. You know, the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack was the #1 album, mm-hmm. 78. But little did people know that whole scene was about to turn into hip hop, something much more gritty, and storytelling was quite different, you know. Bob Marley and the Wailers, mm-hmm. first album, you know, Kaya, globally hit. So all of a sudden everyone said, oh wow, like Jamaica has this mm-hmm. whole thing. And that also contributed to what became hip hop. The downtown New York scene, the new wave, David Byrne, Blondie, mm-hmm. Talking Heads, you know, that was huge. And then punk rock, you know, which was like turning the page on sort of all of the Elton John and Billy Joel and, you know, these singer-songwriters who had been around for a long time and were still making incredible work. It was all happening at the same time. And it was all being recorded to tape. People were still recording with bands. Mm-hmm. It was like the last year of bands, mm-hmm. Where it's like, didn't matter if it was Michael Jackson or Elton John, same studio, sometimes same musicians, different sound, but everybody had to get together and record together. And to me, there's something so human about that, and something so warm about the analog equipment and the tape machines. And I love that. You know, it feels like home mm-hmm, to me. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell me about the sounds, how you present these ideas sonically. I really enjoy the synthesizers that you have, and the solo guitars and all those 70 sounds, even the Latin sound that you
yes.
put in there, the congas with Pedrito.
Yes.
What is sonically, how do you present this many ideas into one album?
That's a great question. Well, I wanted to challenge myself as a producer mm-hmm. as well. And there are so many different sounds from the mm-hmm. 70s. But I love Marvin Gaye, I love Leon Ware, I love the sort of sensual, mm-hmm. Seducing with the sound. Mm-hmm. You know, congas is the link to Africa, mm-hmm. you know, so it's South America, Central America, the Caribbean, you know, there's some kind of drum, mm-hmm. hand drum. And that mixed with the trap drum is like a special, unique mm-hmm. 70s thing. Mm-hmm. And it makes people want to dance.
Oh, yeah.
It makes people want to move. And it's sort of saying, you know, musicians can say things that are very complex without having to say it. Mm-hmm. It's saying, we're going to put our worlds together. The East meets West, African, European. We're going to just do this, and it just works. Mm-hmm. And the harmony is there. The peace is there. And it makes people want to move, you know. And I think that's what's so special about the 70s was you could say something very political or very inspiring, you know, but as long as it was something dancing, mm-hmm, you know, like Bob mm-hmm, Marley is mm-hmm, talking some
mm-hmm. deep stuff.
Yeah. When you look at the lyrics, it's like, wow. But, you know, everybody's just grooving, you know, and if you can make people move and get into their body, I think then you kind of get out of your head and the message gets in. And ultimately, it's a message of love.
And that was my reaction exactly with 38 in Chicago. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. With that piece, you're talking about deep stuff yeah. with very moving and happy rhythms. Right. And there is a very complex juxtaposition of those two because you're dancing to very meaningful and heavy
yeah.
lyrics.
Yeah.
How was the process for that song? Is that what you wanted to do, or did it happen like that?
That's a great question too. You know, the chords to that song and for Trayvon mm-hmm. are the same. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking of Marvin because he and Quincy Jones were bringing it into a different realm, R&B, like making it like suites, making it extended, making them connected, mm-hmm. not just singles. Mm-hmm. You know, it was like, no, this is a statement. This is an album. So I was in Los Angeles, and those chords came to me, and it was sort of like minor, like a Chopin kind of thing. And that was the first song of the album, was for Trayvon. And I knew when I was singing it, I could feel his spirit, and I knew it was about him. And his murder really has haunted me, you know, since it happened. Just because, you know, at some point we've all been him walking down that road, you know, looking over our shoulder. I've had many narrow escapes growing up in Minneapolis, and so that really resonated with me. And I was kind of singing that, and I recorded it. It was like a 20-minute voice note. And then at some point, my hands just started moving, and the rhythm came to it. I said, oh, that's kind of nice, you know? And then it was just like, we put our hands up to the sky, pray for love divine. So, and it was just channeling out. And I said, oh, these are connected. So you start in the sort of, it's actually, now that I think of it, I didn't realize this, but I may have gotten the idea from the New Orleans funeral march, because it's very sad when you go to the grave, and then it's
festive, right?
Because it's a celebration of life. You know, it's the two sides of the coin. 38th in Chicago was written for George Floyd, and that was my neighborhood bodega in Minneapolis. I walked by there a million times, you know, and I knew instinctively something bad was going to happen there. I always had a bad feeling going by there. I tried to avoid it. It was like that corner always had bad energy. So I wasn't surprised to hear that he was murdered there, but of course I was shocked and sad. So I, you know, my first show as José James was 3 blocks from there, on 35th at Powderhorn Park. You know, it was a community event, free show. So it's very close. My mom's house is 3 blocks from there today still. She's on 37th. So it's very, very close. So I knew I had to say something, but it took a while, because to me it's not about like fight the power or something sort of aggressive. It's like these people had families, they had lives, they had a life, and we can't let their life be taken in vain, you know. So we have to remember them as the men they were, as the people they were, as the people in the community that they touched, you know. Yeah, and it's sort of just like asking the question, which Marvin asked and many of us ask, you know, like, how long until we understand that we are really truly all one, spiritually, molecular level, we are all one people, one species. And I think that's every artist's dream, is to finally get to the point where we all understand that. Because artists understand that. You know, we all know we are the same. We're just reflections of each other. So that was the sort of the message of that song. And I met the Floyd family. They've come to some of my shows in Minneapolis, and it's a very small community there. So it's I had to say something, you know.
This other song, Dark Side of the Sun, completely different.
Yeah.
Different vibe. You have a featured artist in there.
Yeah, it's biology.
It's a very touchy song too, in a different way. Tell us more about that.
Oh, Dark Side of the Sun was a play on Dark Side of the Moon,
of course.
Pink Floyd, rather. And Balaji, he lives in Antwerp and in the Congo, and he's a filmmaker now, and he goes back and forth culturally, and I'm fascinated by just sort of the diaspora. You know, this is what we do. We're here, and we're here, and we go back and forth, and our language changes, and our clothes change, but we remain the same. Something core is with us. And that song is about just sort of where I think we're headed in society. You know, he chose to talk about the dark side of technology. For me, it's sort of like the dark side of our spirit and our souls that we all carry, and how we have to confront that, you know, the things that we inherit genetically, the things that we maybe inherit or encounter socially, the decisions we make as individuals. The older I get, the more I realize the small choices really matter. They really matter. You know, there are people that I was kind to 15 years ago. Now they live in Asia, and they just reached out and said, hey, I heard you're in trouble with the fire. Like, can I? Wow. And it was somebody I spent 10 minutes with in passing moment in a studio, but it was like that little moment of kindness stayed with them. And for me, it was a moment. But you never know how you can touch somebody, you know? So it's kind of like this idea of the diaspora, and the idea of Dark Side of the Sun is that Black people have given so much creativity, given so much of their manpower and woman power, and building and changing and growing in our style and our everything. And it's just kind of a giving, but not receiving. So it's like the sun is all giving, but it's all taking. And that was this metaphor I was sort of playing with, where it's like, I think for a lot of people of color, it's a one-way street where we give our culture over and over, and it's consumed, you know, and then it warms up the world, you know, but we're sort of like in the dark, you know, in the light, but in the dark, you know, it's like a weird.
I understand completely.
Yeah.
Changing gears for a moment, you are co-founder of your label.
Yes, Rainbow Blonde Records.
Yes. This is so 1978, your second record, your second album in that, with your label.
Right.
What was the idea that moved you and Tali into creating this business, this enterprise?
Well, she's the brains.
Okay.
She's I have to give her props. She was at Blue Note Records. She was under Bruce Lundeval, former president, and she was there for the transition to Don Was. I was the first artist to be signed by Don, and she was instrumental in getting me signed to Blue Note Records. She's a brilliant songwriter, lyricist, and performer, and she really has a global, like, community. She leads with a heart, you know, vision. So for me, it started because I got the rights back to my first album, The Dreamer, which was on Giles Peterson's label, Brownswood, over in London, and it was a 10-year license, so I got the rights back.
Good job.
Thank you. Yeah.
So so you gave it for 10 years only.
Right.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a great. Well, congratulations
Thank
to you.
Thank
Not
you.
that many people do that at that age.
Right.
You were young.
That's right. I was very lucky for that. So I had to put it out some way, and so at first I said, "Oh, we'll do a label," because Tali was like, "You should really start your own label." And at the time I was on Blue Note, and kind of just like, that sounds hard. I don't know. I'm doing my own thing. But so we first started it as a place to put out The Dreamer, and she said, I think we could really make this a global thing. So she single-handedly, she's now the president of the label, turned it into a global brand where, now we release in every country. We've signed, I think, 5 other acts, and all my back catalog lives there. And she's really, her spirit and her vision is everything about it. Because for her, every single person who works on the album or for the label should be celebrated. The person who's doing the design, who's Hayden Miller, all the engineers, and this was before Spotify said, let's put all the information. She said, we have to make sure everyone is credited, everyone's on the website, every single person is important, which is true. But a lot of labels, of course, focus on the solo artist. And then you're like, well, who did this?
Yeah, we were talking about that before, that you really have to be intentional.
Exactly.
Into looking for all the collaborators. It's not right there like it used to be.
Exactly. So it's been incredibly uplifting for me. I've been able to take a lot of sort of risks as a producer and say, this is the sound I want, And there's no looking over my shoulder saying, well, it has to sell this much or I'm going to get dropped,
Yeah.
And that's a reality of the business.
Yeah.
So when you own your own label, of course, you spend your own money.
Of course.
So, you want to make good decisions. But I think I'm much more free artistically now than I ever have been.
When we had the Baylor Project with us last year, we were
love
talking,
them.
I know, aren't they great?
Mhm.
Shout out to the Baylor Project.
Yes, yes.
We were talking about that,
Mm.
and the same thing.
Mhm.
Like you want to be the right holder of your work,
Yeah,
and it comes with rewards and also comes with responsibility.
that's right.
But you are the one making the decisions, so more power to
Exactly.
you.
Yeah, and Prince, 1978, first album, he always said, if you don't own your masters will own you. And I get it now.
So speaking of that, what is your relationship or your idea with like Spotify?
I love it.
Oh, you do?
I do. I love it. I think it's an incredible tool. I think it's important for, as we get older, to be around younger people. I had a bass player, Anissa Strings, in my band for a while. And I was like, what do you think about Spotify? She said, I think it's cool because he's like, your generation, people buy the album once, then you listen to it as much as you want, and that's it. It was $9.99. That's what you get. She's like, now, every time somebody listens to it, you make some money. And I was like, that's a really interesting way to think about it. I will say, when you write the music and you own the master, you make a lot more money.
Okay.
That's the
So you're in a different
key.
situation because of that.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, and this may not be a popular position, but I think, any other business, if you want to be a lawyer, for example, you don't just become a lawyer. You have to go to school, you have to pass the bar, you have to have a certain idea of how the industry works, what kind of law you're going to specialize in, what firm you're going to go for. I think music is actually the same, but there's a myth that it's not the same. People kind of say, oh, well, you have talent and you get discovered and then you're just famous and everything's great. It's like, well, not really. It's a business and it does take the same amount of training and understanding. And like any business, it changes. I think for me, streaming has been incredible, to be honest, knowing that I could put out something if I wanted to. I could make something tomorrow and put it out the next day. That's incredible. If you're talking about the 70s, the studio system was very closed off. If you didn't have a record deal, you couldn't get into a studio. You couldn't make your own album. Now, it's much faster. It's much more direct. Of course, you have to engage with the marketplace. And I think that's where the disconnect comes, because people say, well, I'm not getting paid what I think I deserve. And you could argue, you can argue percentage and all that stuff, but I think if you, like the Baylors actually, and I talk about this a lot, if you invest in yourself as a business, then you see the results. If you just put stuff out there and say, hey, love me,
hoping for the best.
yeah, then it may not go the way you want, but for me, I think it's been a blessing, and Tidal, shout out, Jay-Z, Beyonce, great quality, taking care of artists, Apple Music. I mean, to me, Deezer, I have all of it, and YouTube Music too. I think it's important because I talk to people, I talk to my fans. I say, how did you find my thing? It's like, oh, I have friends in Africa who are on YouTube, and they're sharing stuff, and it's fast. So if you can tap into that spirit of it, like something shareable and it's fast and people can connect to it, it's incredible. It's incredible. The last thing I'll say.
That's good. That's good.
I think it's important because I'm a real student of history to sort of understand highs and lows. It's like, for a while, music was just sheet music and a home piano. Everyone had a player piano.
Right.
So it was like, well, Auntie, Sue knows how to play it. So I got the Fat Swaller. Can you play it for me? And she, Then radio came out and the phonograph, so it kind of changed and people got scared. Oh, no, it was printed music. Now it's on the radio. It's free, So you kind of have to make the switch. Then the microphone was invented. Then singers like Billie Holiday could have careers because she had a small voice. Before, she couldn't have had the same career. So I think it's not being scared of technology, embracing it and saying, this is the reality I live in. How can I interact and use this as a tool to reach people? That's incredible. So if you think about Spotify in terms of marketing, whoa, all of a sudden you're like, wow, you put out nobody knows you, and you can put out an album and it can be heard around the world? What? That never existed before now. So,
how many years have you found your record label?
It was in 2018.
2018.
Yeah, 2018.
So the first time that you were with us, you and Larry, our late colleague,
Yes.
were talking about, he asked you about people recording the show and people posting.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you were cool with that.
Totally cool.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect you. So even then, you had that vision. This is before your label company. How do you feel about that now? Are you still
Totally the same.
the same?
I think it's a hip hop thing. It's like, you got cats mixtape, buy my mixtape. It's a hustle. It's like, yeah. And if you got people who are so moved, like I've been to shows. When I pull out my phone to film something, it means something.
Right.
I'm not just doing it. It's like, oh, wow, I got to capture this. If you can kind of, as an artist, get into that mentality, like, these people want to take a piece of tonight home with them forever. And they want to share it with their friends for free? That's amazing. I think, first of all, and this is my own opinion, I think music belongs to God. I think it's a higher power. I think it's a spiritual energy. It's a wavelength. I don't think it belongs to any of us. I'm not saying I don't want to get paid for my work, because I do work, but the music belongs to everybody. So I'm happy when somebody tags me, when somebody shares. Now I'm listening to the stories. I meet fans and they say, oh my God, like we fell in love at one of your concerts, I meet them through the years and it's like, now we have 2 kids, and they're listening to music. That's when you really know that you're using your gift, I think, for me. And so now if I don't see phones up, I'm like,
something is...
No, I'm not. Yeah, exactly. Something's wrong. Exactly.
What is the goal for your company? Do you have a plan for that?
For Rainbow Blind? That's a great question. I mean, I think we have the most artist-friendly deal in the world. We don't have any options, meaning like we signed Ben Williams for his I Am a Man wonderful album. And it was a one and done. So we didn't have an option for him for the next one. If he wanted to go sign somewhere else,
oh, I see.
He's free. Our lawyer was like, you should not do that. And we're like, no, that's the point. Because we don't want anybody to feel trapped in a deal. I've been there. It's not a good feeling. You don't make good art. You don't feel good as an artist. At the same time, as a label, we're free as well. So we're really committed to uplifting the voices that we can. We're not a huge label, but we take on projects that, like, for example, we just signed Jairus Yoakley, who's a young drummer and producer and singer from Brooklyn. He's phenomenal, and his album's called Sometimes Late at Night. It's something that I don't think has ever existed before, and I don't think any other label would have made it. And that's something that I was able to do. I co-produced it. A thing like that, to me, is really about giving back to the scene. It's about documenting the scene. It's about uplifting these new voices, this next generation, these young people, because that's the future. So I'm going to keep putting out my stuff. Tali is involved in everything. She writes my music. She did the string arrangements on 1978. She wrote half the album. We're just committed to documenting the time that we're in without genre, hopefully. We're trying to really be a genre-free. We have electronic, we have jazz, we have R&B, we have folk, we have indie. We're trying to be of the moment. Yeah.
I want to highlight that he said lawyers. Do you hear that? He said lawyers. So make sure you're doing that to get you a good lawyer.
Yeah,
okay? You
that's
cannot do everything yourself.
No.
So please, all right. So
That's right. More important than a manager.
Yes,
is a lawyer.
get yourself a good lawyer,
Absolutely.
please. Do your homework. So tonight, going back to tonight, who is with you tonight, and what can we expect on stage tonight?
Oh my gosh, the band is incredible. I've got Tali on vocals, Jay Horde, who is one of our favorite singers, also on vocals, Marcus Machado on guitar. He's Panamanian also. He's my brother. The newest, coolest drummer, Jalen, who plays with Herbie Hancock now. I was able to steal him away for tonight's gig. He's mind-blowing. Kyle Miles on bass, who has been playing with Michelle and Degocello. He's like one of my favorite all-time bassists, also from New York. And then Big Yuki on the keys, who is like the wizard of synthesizers from Japan. He's like me. He works with hip-hop. He's with Tribe Called Quest Records and also with jazz. So he's like, all of us are sort of meeting in this beautiful space where we can create, so we can keep the form, but if we feel like we want to turn left, the whole band can go there too and expand, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I think this is going to be the final show of 1978 live, so it's going to be a really special one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm just so moved away. You said the
it.
final. This is it. We're
yeah.
closing here, the Library of Congress. Do you
This
hear
is
that? Wow. So we're going to wrap it up with that. José James, thank you so much for being here tonight and for closing your 1978 tour with us. And with you guys watching from home, nos vemos a la próxima. Ciao.